Hi, good morning, good evening, depends where you are. I'm Irene Wong, a co-owner for a dance shop called Everything Ballroom. I'm a pole and dancer for 17 years, and I am your host today for the YouTube channel Everything Ballroom. Our goal is to share the ballroom dancing, the joy of it, and the fascinating industry to me. A lot of people don't know about it, and I'm hoping we're going to invite some great speaker to share their experience so we can all learn about it, and hopefully we'll have more people to understand this industry. And if you like what we're doing, please give us a thumbs up and follow our channel, Everything Ballroom. Today, I'm very excited to have a judge to come talk to us. This segment is Ask the Judge and Dancers who have a lot of experience to share with us. This guest is a WDC and WDSF judge, of course, experienced people, and a professional dancer and instructor. He is also a hotel and restaurant owner as well. Very interesting. So I can't wait to talk to him about how he judge and how he can manage his business and be a teacher and everything, something more. So without further ado, let me call our guest, Andrea Stefano. Yay! Thank you. Thank
Yay.
you. Welcome to our
Hi.
channel. And thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, good morning. Like you said, wherever you are in the world, welcome to Everything Ballroom. Thank you for inviting me. Such an honor to be a speaker and talk about my great passion, which is ballroom dancing. Lately, I've been invited to a lot of talks and I've been doing a lot of talking about food and hospitality, and it seems like my life is shifted a little bit. So it's cool that I am back and I'm talking about what I've been doing for all my life, which is the dancing.
Right. And then I love food. So I travel around the world and just enjoy food. We're going to talk about that maybe afterwards. So now before we get started, let's let people know a little bit about you, maybe share a fun fact about you.
Um, well, besides the dancing, my life hasn't been a lot of fun. The dancing has brought fun to my life, and no, for real, I've been dancing since I was 8 years old, and dancing has been a big part of my life. I've been competing as an amateur first. I've danced with my sister for a very long time. Then I've danced with other professional partners, and I have after retiring from professional career, I started judging and traveling Europe mainly to coach. And with all the travels and all the connections that we have established, I had the opportunity to work with some amazing people that not only taught me how to dance, but they taught me how the dance industry can also be run as a quote unquote real business, not just as a sport enterprise for yourself. And one of them could be, for example, Augusto Schiavo, which has introduced me to Arthur Murray in Europe. And that's where I have learned about Pro Am. Well, I knew Pro Am already because my brother has been in the US much longer than I have. So I already knew what Pro Am was, but I've been exposed more when I started consulting and judging and competing with Arthur Murray in Europe. Then we have owned studios, Arthur Murray Studios in Italy as well, and that gave me an idea. And I said, well, since I don't really like judging that much, maybe I can go back dancing. And so after 10 years that I retired competing, I retired from ballroom, professional ballroom in 2004, and I competed in my first Pro Am competition in 2014. So in those 10 years, I've traveled, judged, competed, some of not competed, sorry, judged and coached some of the most amazing couples in the world. Judged most of the most prestigious competition in the world. But like I said, my passion was really dancing myself more than coaching, and that probably sounds a little bad, but it's the truth. And it's probably true for all of us. Dancing yourself is better than is more fun than teaching. It's just a different feel, I guess. But the Dancing Pro Am gave me the opportunity to go back on the floor, and I am glad I did because I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I've met amazing people in this country, and I felt welcomed since day one, and it's been a fun ride so far.
That's just wonderful. I really love what you said about the ballroom dance world from hobby to become, it could be become something a business. It's me, right? I was a dancer. Now I passionate about dancing, but I owned a costume business, so, skincare products or whatever, right? So it's really is important that we're going to talk about that actually we next time our guests is specifically talk about how we can expand in the dance world a income source as well besides a hobby. So that will be stay tuned with that. While you're talking, I would like to ask you that as a pro dancer, maybe a pro dancer's point of view, right? How you like to work with students? We are pro am dancers. What would you recommend for a pro am dancers like us and say, competing, how to work with you that make a professional dancers that help a student thrive?
Um, well, in my opinion, being a professional dancer is just a title. I have taught some amateur dancers that are 1,000 times better than professional dancers. And I've taught some professional dancers that were not that great. So being a professional or an amateur is just a title, number one. And I have the pleasure of dancing and the opportunity to teach some people that are really high level in standards specifically, and not only dancing with me personally, but I have also coached some of the most beautiful amateur dancers in America, in the world. So being a professional versus an amateur, in my opinion, is only a title. Well, I know in America there is a limit. If you are a professional, then you can teach. If you're not, if you only are in an amateur status, there is a limitation. So although there is a little bit of changes in the rule, but in Hong Kong, for example, which is where you are from, or in Europe or anywhere else in the world, if you are an amateur, you can absolutely teach and dance at the highest level. And if you watch the amateur competitions in Europe, you realize there are much better than most professionals everywhere in the world, everywhere else besides Europe. And so, how do I teach? I don't find it different. You look at the student, whether it's a professional or an amateur. To me, it doesn't make any difference. You have to just be motivated, and I understand this is a hobby. And at the end of the day, even when you dance as a professional, I always say that because I'm a little cynic when it comes to pragmatism. And so, if you look at what we do, and if we look at competing professionally and spending time and money going around the country and practicing and competing and taking lessons, at the end of the day, you do that only for yourself. And that's the best investment that you can do for yourself. It's like going to college. It's a lot of effort, but it's not guaranteed that at the end of the 4 years, whatever it is, then you're gonna have your dream job. So that's the same thing for professional or amateur or pro am. You invest a lot of time and a lot of money in what you do, but if you don't enjoy the journey, then you're missing the main part, because you might go to a competition and not getting the expected result, and then that leads into frustration and disappointment. But if you do it with joy and if you have a purpose, and you understand that the reason why you're there is because you're enjoying spending time with some people, spending time with your teachers. And if you don't, you're with the wrong people. Then you need to look at yourself and say, is this really the person that I want to spend? Because, what we do is very, because you dance with this person for an hour and a half, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is. But even for professional and amateur, if I teach a professional couple as a coach, or if I teach a pro am couple or an amateur couple, it is very, very personal, because it opens to your the most how do you say, fragile personality that you can have, because you really, everything you have is there on the floor, whether it's at studio or you are competing. So I don't look at the result. I always look at the progress and the journey. Always look, where am I coming from? I come from a very small town in southern Italy, from nothing. Um, I don't want to talk about my past because it's not really important right now, but not the best family situation because of unfortunate reasons and tragic things. But I always looked at what can I do better to be a better person, to be a better dancer, to be a businessman, because I love business, and that's the reason why I do what I do, because I loved, back to the organization with the Earth Mary. I loved what's behind, and then I've learned about Fred Astaire, which is equally extraordinary. What they do, what they create for this ballroom industry is outstanding. And then the NDCA and all the rest. So those are business organizations that create wealth for all of us, for thousands and thousands of people. And it's a hidden world, and people on the street don't know about. So it would be great, actually, if this could be more and more, this channel and what you do, and we thank you for that, could be more and more visible and sponsored, so that people can learn more about what amazing opportunities is, not just for people to have a hobby and travel and be in shape and have fun and meet other people equally extraordinary, but also for young generations that want to create a career for themselves. It's something that I don't think is out there enough in this country.
You touch me so much when you say all that. That's so many things I want to pick and talk about. I'm grateful everything you talk about because I'm very passionate about it. From knowing nothing about this industry to be addicted and passionate about it, it takes time to understand and then talking about the joy. And I really love this word. And a lot of friends and a lot of dancers left because they're not competing on themselves. They're really stressed out, just focused on competing with other and very disappointed, and then criticize on, of course, I'm sure they're happening, the injustice, people's bias, and they left. So that could be another things that because it sounds like you're very honest and frank about, how do you see the students, the feeling of, very political in the
Well,
judging, and
look,
how we as a student counter that kind of thought and then be thrive in this environment, right?
well, I think you have to, and that's a general rule in my opinion in life. You have to be lucky to meet the right people. Like I said, I was fortunate to be coached and taught not just the dancing, which I'm mediocre at. How how do you navigate in the dance industry? Starting with how you put your shoes on and you lace your shoes, how you dress yourself, how you present yourself, how do you talk to people. This is really, the dancing and the people that I've spent time with all my life taught me everything I know, and everything that I am very grateful for came simply from that. And I was lucky to have the opportunity to meet all these people, and I still do. I still meet amazing people that teach me every day, that I can learn from how they live their lives and how they, behave with their families, with their kids, etc., etc. But I also say really isn't for everybody. Some people really can't find what they look for in the dance industry. So that's okay if that, I don't know, 5%, even if they are spending time with the best teachers and the best people, um, it's okay. They leave and maybe they find something they're looking for in, I don't know, tennis, or there are many, many other sports that I know nothing about. I mean, I enjoy watching soccer. I enjoy watching tennis. I was recently at the Cincinnati Open, and I love seeing how these professionals go through the same struggles we go through. They win just a little bit more than what we do, just a tiny bit more, but money wise, but the struggles are the same, really the same. Winning that tournament. The Italian player Sinner won the tournament, and I was talking to my brother actually about the difficulty. How much more difficult is it to really win that tournament versus or the U.S. Open or Australia Open or Roland Garros, whatever, versus being in the final. No winning, being in the final in Blackpool or being in the final at the World Championship in Standard or Latin. I'm not sure it's that much more difficult to win tennis. So it's what we do, and what I even won the professional world championship. But some of our friends had won in this country. Had won the world title 10 times in a row. Ricardo, I won one of those. Ricardo and Julia, or Aruna and Katyusha, being 10 times world champion is it's a big deal. And people that are not in this world or they're a little bit involved in this world only really don't understand how much sacrifice there is behind that. It's your whole life. Everything is on stake. And like I said earlier, it's not guaranteed. So I'm sure they did enjoy the process along the way. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the strength to go through all of what they have. Because we tend to always only look at the result and say, oh, they're lucky because they win, but we don't understand what that means, the sacrifice, and how much you have to really leave behind between family and friends and your own life. So if some people really don't appreciate what they do, they don't appreciate the ballroom industry because it's not what they want and they don't enjoy competing, that's okay. As long as we try as professionals to create the perfect environment for them, because it all comes down to that at the end of the day, and create what it takes. And personally, I think in this country, I can't even begin to um, thank people like, I don't know, I don't really want to mention a lot of names because I don't want to leave people out. But I always think, and recently came back from Capital, with John and Marianne, thinking about what are all these people. And I see Amy is on the call, for example. Amy and Scott Anderson. I mean, there are a lot of people in this country that have spent all their lives doing what they do and creating, organizing competitions, and running events and going to judge to different events. Without their effort, Sam Sodano, for example, I named John and Marianne, Gary McDonald, and his parents. All these people have spent their entire lives creating this environment for the U.S. so that we can have a job that pays really, really well and have fun doing it. I can't. It's amazing. It's a perfect oil machine. Everybody benefits from it. From the organizers to us as professionals, because we get paid to do what we do and we enjoy doing it. It's a lot of work. We sacrifice our families, whatever, but we get paid really well to do what we do. And not last but not least, the joy that I see on the floor from everybody compete. 99% of the people that I see competing, they really enjoy what they do, and they work very hard, but still and they spend a lot of money, obviously. But it's their love, their passion. They live for what they do. It's to me, it's unbelievable. I don't think that people that do, let's say, normal job can never understand that how beautiful that really is. It's unbelievable.
I totally agree with you that most people don't understand. That's why I'm trying to create this interviews and get all the people to get a little bit more interested about that or give a chance to try, right? Because a lot of time I didn't know what I get into 17 years ago. I'm still here, totally addicted and still growing and continue to thrive and continue to learn. And then, from feeling I'm very good to go back, oh, I'm sucks. I need to go back to the basic, doing my box.
But that's life. That's how life works. That's for everything you do in life. One day you feel great, the other day you feel like s dot.
Yeah, sorry, the
That's
language.
okay.
Yes, yes, yes. So this is so nice of you to talk about that. And a lot of time, I think appreciation is lacked when bring that out. How much I think we should appreciate the chance that we have the environment here. Of course, like what you said, hard work is needed to be successful. In this industry we talked about earlier, you have all these you know people that already built our environment. How can we contribute, right? As a dancer, as a professional, and as a business owner to continue to make it strive and grow and communicate it. One thing that you and I talked briefly before we start is the younger generation, right? Ballroom dancing, especially in the US, I think is not being, dancing in general is not a boys' sport to begin with. They're so biased on boys don't do dance. And then actually, I can see some of my family or people say, oh, that's a, very negative comment about guys doing that. And the boys will be teased when they go dancing when they were young, unless you're doing the macho football or whatever balls out there. How and what you think, we can do and attract more younger generation and build up, this is like we need the young generation to grow or continue to expand.
Well, I am not how do you say, I'm not a politician, neither do I want to be one in this country, especially because I wasn't born here, so I can't. But what I think the problem in the US is wealth. What do I mean by that? And you're not from here, neither is Ellie, but you could agree with me when I say the main problem that I see in people in the US, and we, with our company, we now roughly have 50 employees. And I see that, and I say this with the utmost respect for the American people. I see that wealth and lack of interest in things comes from the fact that everybody has everything. So you really don't have to work hard to get to, I don't know, having a job that pays a decent amount so that you can have a decent house and have a decent car and go on vacation a couple of times a year, which is something that people elsewhere in the world have to work very hard for. So this is problem number one. Problem number two that is connected to that, that's why I started there. There aren't enough dance studios in this country to do what we would like to see. That there is in my country, in Italy, there is a dance studio in every little town. So every town with, I don't know, 1,000 people, there is at least one dance studio. Obviously, the difference comes from the culture. Like you said, here in the US, people are not used to sending their kids to dance studios because the boys go to soccer or organized sports. Girls go to cheerleading, or they go to ballet, or they go to other things that are more girls oriented. Although I say they also play soccer, volleyball, they do football, they play sports that are generally considered for boys. So I see that reverse. Girls are much more open to do things that are considered for boys than the boys are open to do other things that are not really boys. And it comes from that, culture and all of that. But I also think that if there are not dance studios, then where do I send my kids? I can drive in Cincinnati, for example. Cincinnati, which is where I live, one of the most beautiful cities in the U.S. Small cities. I love that city. It's everything that you can possibly imagine and want.
You need to get there.
The greater
I need to get
Cincinnati
there.
population is 1.8, maybe people. I can count in one hand how many dance studios there are. And 99% of them don't teach kids, don't have a kids program. And so if I live 45 minutes, 50 minutes away from that studio, then my kids are not going to dance. It's that simple. Now, how do I solve that problem? Like I said, I'm not a politician. I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. But that's where the problem starts. Number two, and it's connected to the fact that we don't have kids competing in this country, there aren't enough competitions. So if I live in Cincinnati and my son is a beginner, I am lucky if I compete once a year, and that's not enough. I need to compete more if I want to have the kids motivated and meet other people, etc., etc. So I have to fly and go to Chicago, go to New York, or go to other states where there are enough kids where I can compete, or my kids can compete with somebody else. So that's the cultural difference. So the regular families to send their kids, because a dance lesson costs roughly $100 for 45 minutes, and if it I'm not going to do that for my son that I have no idea if he's going to continue in 3 months, because kids then change their mind very quickly until they find what they really want to do and what they really love. So the Pro-Am organization works really well, but it's a sport for adults, for rich people, wealthy people that can afford to pay that much to compete and travel and pay for professional students with them. But I think there is another side of the business that could be structured. And when I say I'm not in politics, I also mean the dance politics, right? Because there could be something that a section of the NDCA or maybe the USA Dance could sponsor, go to every chapter of the small organization in each city and maybe start a program for kids. That could be, in my opinion, a great opportunity also for the amateur or for the young professionals to start teaching and learning how to, teach kids, because teaching kids is not easy in anything, but I have the experience in the dancing. I have, like I said in the beginning of the interview, I have the privilege to teach some of the most talented kids in Italy that came from our studio. My brother, myself, my sister, we all own a studio that taught a lot of kids, hundreds. And it's not easy. It teaches you a lot about parenting and how in deal with their parents, and so it's a great opportunity for whoever wants to do this and creating new jobs. But back to what I was saying earlier, it is not very difficult to find a job here. So you really have to find the people that are motivated in doing this, in learning how to, understanding the world. Because then when you learn and you get to know the ballroom dancing industry, it's very hard to leave. It really is. So it's all a
I
matter
can
of gathering people and involving more people at every level, teaching, but it needs to be organized, and individuals can't do that. It needs to start from the organizations. The organization need to dictate, because it's like the government. We do what the government want us to do. Governments want us to do things in a certain way, and that's most likely how we're going to operate. Some countries are better than others. I would say this country, despite what some of my American friends think, this country is pretty amazing at that.
Yeah, I can't agree with you anymore because I personally have a lot of experience as a mom and I enjoy dancing so much. I forced my three kids to go for dance lessons, all three of them, but I can't find a studio offer kids ballroom group lessons. And luckily, what I did is I organized my kids and I find some parents and then create a partner. So I have a group of kids and the studios that offer a group lesson. It's a more private lesson but for a group of my children. So at that time actually I was thinking about what can we do a little bit about that. So I actually vow for all parents out there. And actually, politics is organization is also demands a chicken and eggs, right? If we all looking for programs for our kids or demand the school to offer some choice of dancing or ballroom dancing. And then you may ask the local studios to come into your studio, to your school, to offer some of the after school programs. And, actually is a good loop, right? So I'm hoping there are more people, listen to the channel. A lot of parents, there are so much good stuff. And I really see it, for ballroom dancing.
I do think it's gonna happen. I do think it's gonna happen in this country because looking at how other things are evolving in other sports, I think it's going to happen. And I see a lot of changes also. I mean, if you go to competitions and you stay on Sunday, you realize how many more kids there are. I've been here in this country 10 years almost, and back and forth, probably even 12. And I mean, organizers can prove me wrong if it's wrong, but I see that the number of kids competing in our competitions are growing more and more and more. So I think that the trend is the correct one, is the right one. More and more people are getting close because that's how it is. The reason why I started dancing is because somebody in my family owned a dance studio, and so I was at the studio. Might as well just dance, and so my brother, my sister, everybody in our family danced. Some of our, my family members didn't continue. They went, to school or they became doctors, whatever, and we became dancers. But this is how it's going to happen here in this country as well. And maybe not in our generation, we would not see that tremendous change. But I think that's the trend because looking at how many more professionals there are dancing pro-am. I mean, the level of the pro-am in every single style is incredible. It's so it has to, at some point, diverse. I don't know the word, diversificare. Veer a little bit. So some of us will stay with the pro-am, others will find their niche in dancing and teaching the kids, etc. So it is, in my opinion, going to happen. And at some point, the competition for kids will be separated from for amateur competitions for amateur will be separated from the pro am. This is how I see things happening. But again, maybe not in my lifetime, maybe in the future. But it is going to happen for sure.
Yeah, I hope it will. So, because I see the benefit of ballroom dancing is so much, especially for kids. And then thinking about now is the problem. They are just facing the phone, not be able to communicate with people, a lot of stress. I think ballroom dancing especially offer the solution for all of that. I have three kids, right? I'm so focused on this. And then allow them to be able to think about how to communicate with people, body language, world communication, how to be able to partner, grow together, understanding, and and be out and do something joyful and physical. And I don't know what else a parent, if they really, really do understand this benefit, which I feel a lot of people don't understand and misunderstood the whole ballroom dancing industry, right? So they're thinking what they see in US are purely rich people doing pro-am competition. which I truly believe that is way, 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 way more that we could contribute. So I'm calling for everyone out there, ballroom dancers, understand the joy of ballroom dancing and to share the joy and tell the parents it could be a very good college application. I'm truly, this is my own experience. My younger son, right? He has a college coach, and then he's all computer science and only focus on all his curriculums are after school activity, chess or brainy stuff, right? And my college coach, knowing me, a ballroom dancer, what she gave my son's advice is say, go ballroom dancing with your mom or go to do that and you are going to present yourself more all-rounded view of dancing and other things together is more arts, is more other brain of things, so it helped his college application as well. I want to talk about this because I think everyone, I believe in you talk about politics, everyone can do something about it. Everyone, if we share the joys and we vocal about it and we can share these other side of the ballroom dancing to people, and hopefully we'll see that growth and the benefit of it as well. So I'm calling for everyone
If
listening.
if if only every dance studio and studio owners out there could help and create a program for kids, that could also already be a great expansion. I do see a problem, economical problem, because teaching the kids doesn't bring in as much money as it brings teaching adults, with the private lessons, etc., etc. So it is something that needs to be done really for the love it return, because it's not immediate. It's something that can we can all benefit from moving forward, and we will. Like I said, it is going to happen. It's only a matter of time. I see it happening already, but unfortunately, changes take a very long time, sometimes a lifetime. But it is going to happen in this country. I mean, looking back, how many Europeans, even Italians, I've witnessed going from single digit Italian pro am dancers to look how many we are now, and not mentioning the Russians and Ukrainians and people that have danced all their life, which means, and if you have done that all your life, you're really good at it. So
And then, like what
that
you said, if
creates,
people
a difference.
see
Go
it
ahead, sorry.
beyond, right, a little bit longer term, so it is an investment, right? No matter what, even any business, like any business or any of dancers, you need to invest to have see the growth, right? Of course, a chicken and egg thing.
Absolutely.
So
But
you
if
invest
all
it.
of us collectively decide that there is something that we need to do, then it's different than just doing it myself as a studio owner. And that's why I talk about the politics, because it is something that needs to happen at the higher level. And, so
Right.
as a group, it's different, because everybody that owns a studio needs to start to this, let's get together. That's how you create I don't know, the California Rush. Now I don't remember. Or the World End Sports Series, or the Fortnite Foundation, for example, for the kids. It's something that happens at a high level, and then it slowly grows more and more and more. More opportunities like that would help the studio owners having more funds, because I can do it for the love of dancing, but my landlord would want my rent. So I need to make it work. If the studio doesn't bring in enough money, I can do it 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, but then I need to be supported. So, there are a lot of people with a lot of money in the Pro Am organization that will absolutely participate if something like that would be a thing, sponsoring younger generations, because they do it for the love of themselves. So I absolutely think that it's something that it is going to happen. Maybe we can help and try to make it happen a little bit faster, with ideas and all getting together, like I said, collectively trying to um, spread the word because the day goes very fast. The weeks and months go fast. And so if there's nobody that things are going to happen much slower.
I'm totally strike me so much because it's really passionate about this industry for myself, and then maybe we can talk in USDC, and we can get more people and try to understand, is there anything already out there? Maybe we can help organize it and then push these like what you say,
Absolutely.
the fund, or a scholarship or something, right, to support
But there are
studios
many things
to.
that can be done. There are many ideas and many things that can be done that are already happening in other sports, so we don't have to invent the wheel. These things
Okay.
already exist in all the other sports that are more popular, and they already work much faster. And I'm very involved in soccer because my son plays soccer, and because soccer is a thing in Europe, in Italy, and so I understand that a little bit better, and I have seen the growth in that sport here in the U.S. You know, soccer stadium are popping right and left everywhere in the U.S., and these are billions of dollars of investment. So if that's done for other sports, we need one little drop for our sport, and I'm sure that that could be done because there is a lot of money in this country, and that can be invested for the future for the kids to do this, which we think is a healthy, and we have witnessed actually the fact that it's a healthy activity for the families, for the kids, and for everybody that is involved in it.
So grateful, so much. I would love to learn. You inspire me now a little bit more. I would love to learn more about that and see how each of us can contribute. And I might be bring some guests over, and maybe you, and talking about how maybe next conversation, or maybe invite the right people to talking about what can we do and how can we do to make it work. I believe voices, as a student, politician, and demand the politician to do things, all coming from individuals, each of us to collectively voice, especially parents, and one, if we want this
Absolutely.
project,
Well, there is
everybody
an
can
amateur
contribute.
organization in the US, the USA Dance, which I know nothing about. Um, it is technically the amateur organization, but number one, things are not really well between the NDC. And again, I don't know the details, and it's not really my thing, so that's why I'm not involved, and I don't need to be involved because I have enough things to do. But the NDCA should and could create a division where the kids are sponsored and are involved and organized to do more, and that should be at every level. But you cannot start with competitions because if you don't have the studios and if you don't have the students, you can't organize competitions. So it needs to be done in every single city, and I mean it. Not just one in the Midwest, one in the East Coast, because this country is big. It's not like Italy. I can drive from east to west in Italy in 3 hours. Here, if I want to drive east to west, it's going to take me some more. So, can you imagine if in every little city in this country there was one dance studio that could teach the kids? How quickly, in 10 years, this country will have competitions for the kids only in every city, just like we have it for the program right now. We can go. I can't go to every competition because there are too many. So it would be the same thing for the kids. There's no difference.
Yeah, I can't wait for one of those days, and I'll call back on these conversations and then say, see, we talked about that. It happens. I think let's keep the dream going, and hopefully everyone that listened to this interview and check in about the ballroom dancing. For the people that don't know, share about this great ballroom dancing to parents and to all places, and hopefully we can make a change and make a little bit impact to this industry. Thank you so much. I I'm so happy with our conversation and inspire me to just want to do more. And now I'm going to open, if anything you not to want to add, then we open the mic for people to ask you directly any question they want to ask. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. If you guys have a question, please go to the react in the button and then raise hand. And I see Ali doing that, and we're gonna call your name, and then you come out and share. Okay, Ali.
Hey, Andrea, today I don't really have a question, but I want to say this is a very powerful discussion today, really eye-opening.
I hope I'm
So
not disappointing. I always speak from my heart, and sometimes I make a lot of mistakes doing that because I say things I shouldn't say. But this is good or bad. That's me. I always tell that what I
no,
believe
this,
in.
this is very inspiring. So I really, really enjoyed this interview. I'm hoping that in the future, maybe like Irene said, that you guys can hook up, then we can do something that I think that if every person can do a little bit, then things will happen. So I really, really enjoyed the discussion today, and I hope that this will happen faster. Like you said, maybe we can help speed up the process. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I see Amy
Thank
raising
you.
hand. Amy, you can you unmute and then I will spotlight. Oh, I can't spotlight you. Ellie, you need to spotlight her.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I hit the wrong button. Amy, unmute yourself again. Sorry about that.
I can't spotlight.
Okay,
That's okay. I don't need to be spotlighted.
that's okay. You
Ciao,
talk.
Amy.
Can you hear me though?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, so I too also think this is a great discussion, and it's almost become not as much question and answer, but just kind of an open forum, which is great. Um, Regarding getting more kids involved in ballroom dancing, coming from myself, who was born and raised in this country, is a different viewpoint than, you both have always had ballroom dancing available to you in your respective countries. I think one of the key things to me would be two things. One is we can't just try and get kids involved and get them into competition that they're going to be competitive dancers. I don't know as, unless and unless you've been an immigrant from, another country where that was more prevalent, that's not the case here in this country. So I think just getting kids involved in learning ballroom dancing, I think in the schools and maybe starting in the private schools where they have more funds, might be an avenue to go. Um, just my thoughts. So, and then once they're interested, we can show them all the different things, just like in sports and soccer. My children, they played,
I
you
don't.
know,
I don't agree. I don't agree with you. I don't think.
and
I
that's
don't think
okay.
it's that complicated. I think it's much simpler than that. Personally,
Yeah.
I was not taught to
That's
dance in
that's why
school.
you're that's
In
why
I know
it's
in
great to
Eastern
have you on
Europe,
board.
I heard because I didn't grow up there. They teach. It's mandatory. They have to do standard and Latin in school. In Italy, you don't. You just go to school because it's just a thing. Ballroom dancing is out there. People go out and dance, and so the kids hang out with their parents at the social club where everybody dances. Even though they don't compete, they still dance and they dance for fun, like social events. For example, going back to ideas, because I have a big problem. I have too many ideas.
That's why I'm on this Q&A with you, Andrea.
Yeah, Amy,
That
I'm
even
partly. Mhm. Sorry, go ahead.
I have, like I said at the beginning, I have taught a lot of amateur couples, a lot, many, 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 and many of my fellow Italian professionals can confirm that, because I know that also they also taught a lot of couples. 99.9% of the people I taught, when they started taking lessons from me, and I'm talking about private lessons, they all said, I will never compete. So the competition is something that happens afterward. I never said, you're wrong. In a year, you're going to compete and you'll never stop. You will dance until you die. But I knew that. And 99% of people that I've taught still dance. And I've gone from Italy for 10 years, and I've taught them 10 years prior to that. So they've been dancing for 20, 25 years, and they're still there and they're still competing and kicking butts. So the same thing that happens there with the social dancing, that's another aspect. That's why I said I have too many ideas. The social aspect of the ballroom dancing in America, it is not developed. It hasn't been developed to the level that we in Europe have seen. Now you have your social event in your studio, and I have mine. Okay, we're both in Minneapolis. You have your event, I have my event, and somebody else has their event. But our students will never come to your event and their students, because that's how it should be, right? But if you have a third party, which is a social club, where everybody is welcome, number one, I don't need to do that in my studio, and it's a big relief because I don't have to work. I can go out. It still work somehow. I can go out with my students Friday night, Saturday night, Thursday night, whatever, and have fun and dance, right? So this is not being developed in the U.S. for two reasons. Number one, because there aren't enough American amateur couples. So if I want to go out with my students, my student only dances one waltz, because if the orchestra plays five waltz and I have five students, I need to dance five times with five different people. But if this becomes a social event where you dance with other people and it becomes, which I've seen, the USA tries to do that, at least in Cincinnati, and they try very hard. And I've talked to them and I've told them, if you want ideas and if you want, I don't know how much, that could be possible since I'm part of the NDCA, but for the good of the organization in town, for people to be more involved, I don't see my personal direct interest because I have enough students. So I'm not going there to fish for more students. I am really involved in the social aspect. Their parents will feel safe taking their kids to the events. And their kids will become more involved and they listen to the music, they meet their friend. That's how we all started in Italy. In Europe, that's why we all started. I dance with my cousin, and my friend dances with his. I dance with my sister, really, but my friends dance with their cousin and with friends. Their parents were friends with another couple, and they have a little daughter, and they dance together, and they are now world champions. Right? It
Yeah,
doesn't
I
have to
agree with.
be so structured and organized that you have to have a program in school. But if you also have that, great. But I think that's more complicated. It's much
I
easier to
see
just
both
have,
side of your. Yeah, yeah, the view, right? I believe, Amy, where you're talking about like soccer. If the school offer that, you don't need to compete. The idea of competing, but what Andrea is actually say is naturally leading to it. So for people who actually play soccer, you still have competitions, just small, right? Between the kids, between the local, and they still feel the competition a
in
little bit.
studio,
And
even you do showcase. You start with, just like we all do, you start with small showcase, spotlight in the studio, and then you have a local event, then you take them to another showcase, and then with slowly then it becomes, but here in this country, people, they have to go to Utah if they want to compete. They have to go to Utah right away. That's the conflict that I'm talking about. So that side of the organization is a very structured, but at the base level, in each city, it is not organized well enough so that you can have more kids. In
right.
some
And then
states,
in
I believe
yeah.
Utah probably is, but in many other states isn't. Even New York. I mean, New York City doesn't. I don't see a lot of kids dancing in New York City itself, but the reason why is because the pro-am is the main source, which is great. I'm very grateful for that, don't get me wrong, but it's a different side of the business, right? It's a little reversed than what's happening in Europe right now. Right now in Europe the situation is a little reversed because now the pro-am is becoming a little bit more popular because as professionals, some people are feel like I did. They want to be more involved. They want to dance themselves, and dance with students. And it's not a matter of how much money you make, because some people could be happy doing just teaching the kids, even if they make less money, or teaching the professionals. I think the money is secondary. It's not really that important. At the end of the day is what makes you happy. I want to hang out with the kids, and I want to judge competition. I want to grow a group of kids, take them to Blackpool, whatever. And it's gonna happen here. Well, in Italy it's happening a little bit the opposite, because I think the pro-am is becoming an opportunity, because there are and again I see that reverse, exactly the opposite way. Why didn't we have pro-am? Because there was not an organization, that we didn't know what it was. We started learning with Dancing with the Stars, like, oh, this is cool. These famous people can actually dance, and hire a professional dancer to dance with them, right? It's wow, this is brilliant. Why don't we try to do it in a studio? That's Arthur Murray's been the first one. That's actually the reason why I joined Arthur Murray, because it was the only organization that would allow that side of the business. Because if you don't have a competition, what am I going to do? I'm teaching individuals myself in my studio, and then what? How do I motivate them to do better, to improve, to go to the next level, to go to silver, to go to gold, if I don't have an organization that allows that? Because I don't have showcase, I don't have competition. For how big my studio can be, I can't compete with myself. I need to go and compete with somebody else. And so I believe that trend will become the reality in the US, just reversed.
I hope so. I think so too. Amy, I think you want to feedback on something.
I totally agree with Andrea. However, I just also want to mention too that it's unfortunate that generations ago, and I'm sure, Carol and Jane and Stephen, you can attest to this. My parents and grandparents, there were dance halls, all over the country, and particularly in the Midwest. I mean, that's where I grew up. So it's unfortunate that these places have disappeared as communities have developed. That's all I
Do you
was
know
going to say.
why? What can we
I
do?
don't.
And
I'm too young. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, yeah, I'm
It's
hoping,
something that I
Yeah.
don't know, because
Yeah.
the ballroom, the American ballroom history is something, it's something that I don't know. I don't know a lot of things, and I don't know a lot of people that are still involved in that come from the past, and I'm sure that I could learn from them. There is actually something that I would do, and I say that again with the utmost respect, judging the competitions that are very
you're
appealing for me.
frozen.
But
Hmm.
organizing and being involved more with the kids and with that side of the business, and do something for that, would be something that I would do with a lot of passion, to be honest. I don't know where I would find the time to do it. Maybe in the future, I don't know. But if I have to
We'll
think
talk.
what would motivate me more, I would say that could be it.
Yeah, let's talk in the meet and USDC soon. Hopefully. I'm very passionate about this, as you can see why I'm involved and then create this channel. It is a personal, ambitions, I could say, may not be I impacted. I'm hoping impact somehow a little bit by create this conversation and see anything we can do a little bit about it. I like to say is that we have an idea. Let's everyone, if we just contribute a little bit, we can make a difference. So Amy, like what you said, if the parents
100%. There is one thing that I'm gonna say against you, though. Can I say? Like I said, I'm very politically incorrect. So you might regret that you have invited me. I do
no, I
believe
am
that.
not worried about it. Yeah. Go
No,
ahead.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You might, but I do believe that you need to be very clear to where you stand. What do I mean by that? There needs to be a very clear division between you are an amateur dancer or you are a professional. What do I mean by that? You could still be an amateur dancer and you could still dance pro am with your teacher and go around and compete and have fun, but needs to be very clear that that's what your mission is. Somehow, I don't know how that could be possible, but um, I'm very old school and I have learned also this business from older generation, and it's something that I really like is students need to always be students, professionals or judge or dance competition organizers need to do that. When things start mixing, I think it becomes a little complicated because then you can easily say, "Oh, that's not my job. I'm only an amateur dancer. I leave that to the professionals." No, wait a second. You are committed to doing whatever you're doing. You are a professional. You know, as some of my coach call these super good dancers that are amateur but they dance at a very high level, they call them professional pro am, and I love that because you are not just a pro-am dancer. You are very involved, you're very committed, and you put your face in everything you do. So, like I said, you personally, you Ellie, you guys are amateur dancers, and that's okay. But needs to be very clear when you start becoming involved in organizing things for the ballroom industry. It needs to be very clear. Like I said, I don't know how that could be possible, but I believe that this is something that needs to be done. Create a very clear distinction and understanding exactly where you stand, because it's too easy to stand in put your foot in two different shoes. You can't do that.
There's a lot
Things are
of
not gonna work,
conflicts.
in my personal
Basically,
opinion.
what you're hinting, it seems we are naively still not, because we haven't seen the other side of the equation. I understand what you're coming from, because our view and lenses are on the pro am side versus professional side could be different, and of course, and how
Well,
can
you
we?
also are a business owner, so that puts you already in a different category, right? You're not just a pro am dancer. You have invested in the business, and you are invested, directly in yourself. I was just putting you two as an example, but that could
Right,
be true for many different people because they, um, and I only know this because I've heard. I don't know this firsthand, but I can probably say 99% true. Between you as pro am dancers, you can say things, you can do things, and you can steer things in a certain way, but then you hide behind that mask, saying, "Oh, I'm only a pro am." You don't want to get exposed because you are afraid that the judges are gonna see and then they're not gonna mark you well at that competition. No,
that's
no. If you are invested, then you need to put your face and you need to be 100% involved. That's what I mean by that, because everything is on
yeah.
stake. You cannot be you do it 100%, and you take everything that comes with it, good and bad, because bad things come from it also. Unfortunately, for everything, right? It can be always positive. Do you agree with me,
Wow.
Amy?
Yes, I, I admire you saying
I
that.
totally
Because,
agree with you.
yeah. So it is so easy to say something but hide behind the mask, and I totally hear you on that. It's political. That's
And
what
I
political.
and I repeat myself one more time. I don't think that that's a negative thing. I don't think that having, if I think back years ago, having pro am students owning dance competition could have been, oh no, that's never going to happen, right? I'm sure that some of the old organizers thought That's never gonna happen. That's bad for the business. But guess what? Now it's happened. It's happening. It will happen, and I don't think it's totally negative. As long as the chiefs know how to handle all the situation, because who's been in this business longer only knows how to organize it so that the problems can be not zero, because there are always going to be problem, but limited to only a few.
Yeah, because
That
they're
would be the
afraid
same
to
thing
open the
for
floodgates.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be a floodgate open there, totally understand. It's very political. Thank you for open that discussion. That is a tremendous visions and um it's nothing wrong. I mean, I feel that sometimes we
Politically incorrect.
afraid, what do I say? We need to, sometimes it's a tough discussion, but we need to bring it up for a discussion so we can find a balance in the middle ground, right? So don't be afraid to take some step. So sometimes you need to have a drop in order to grow, right? I think, are we brave enough to see a long-term growth and willing to break for now, maybe a dip, um for I'm trying not to be political incorrect, to be losing their money and actually in short term losing may be a benefit for long term growth, if we are brave enough to not looking at it short term maybe. So
I
I
think I
hope.
think peop I think there is enough motivation, and it's the subject is sensitive for each one of us, professionals, studio owners, parents. So I think when it comes to the kids, many things can be done even if we don't make a lot of money. That's what I'm saying. So the money, I think, it becomes secondary, but there needs to be a purpose. If we all do it, then as a studio owner, I am okay with doing it even if I don't make the same amount of money. But if I'm the only one doing it, it's not gonna work. Also because it's worthless. It's not gonna go anywhere. We all do it or nobody does it.
Yeah, I'm so agree with you. I'm hoping there enough energy and motivation when everyone do it together, then the things will rise up and then the volume goes up. And then even though the money is less, and then hopefully they are not losing much money. So that's, and maybe a substitute from some charity, or there's a lot of money out there, create some funding and things like that. Maybe that will be a combination of everything, I think. So we're going to
Absolutely.
talk, and
Some
that
of
will
the
be
sponsorship that go to the Pro-Am right now could go to the kids.
I,
It's as
I
simple
I
as
think
that.
there's a lot can be done. I truly
Is that
believe that.
easy to do? Is that easy to do? Probably not. But if there is a motivation, then things can be done. Because
Yeah.
some competitions really would not need the sponsor to survive, but they still have it. And if they have it, great. Why not? If I want to sponsor, even if the competition makes X amount of money and it's positive, it's they still get sponsorship. So that sponsorship could go to, sponsoring a kid program, just like it already happened with the Fortney Foundation, which is the only one I know. And I apologize because I
Which
don't know all
one?
the
Which
others.
what the foundation?
What is it called, Amy? Fortney Foundation.
Fordney,
Fortney.
Fordney.
It
And
is for the
I'm sure there
kids.
are many others out there that I don't know about, but this is the only one I see because I see it advertised, and I know Billy and Sam are involved in it, and that's why I know because I see that mainly in their competition or highest ball, etc. But I'm sure that there are other organizations. I'm sure Wayne, Michael, the big organizers have something in place for that or something planned for the future. And if
Yeah,
they
that would be
don't,
great.
that's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for them to start one.
Yeah, I would like to bring them on, whoever already start, or motivate people to start, and then hopefully share, like what you said, you don't know. which is a bad thing, right? If there's something already out there, but people don't know about. So it is hopefully I can add to it to help grow that awareness as well. So thank you. And we're going to, if you guys know any of this, send it to me. I will invite them to be my guests, and then we can talk about that and bring the social, what we call it, the social discussion within the ballroom dance world in here. And thank you so much. We have the time limit here, and grateful for all of the conversation. I think it's so much, I like the honesty and discussion. I like the direct conversation. And this is Everything Ballroom. And give us thumbs up. And if you can support us so we can motivate to do more. Grateful and have a good day. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you
And
for
thank you,
inviting
Amy and
me. Thank
everyone.
you all for being on the call.
Thank you.